Getting our arms around AI, well, that's going to be a task. But it doesn't mean that the technology should be muted in terms of its free market development. As I've said before, I mean, frankly, conservatives should be seizing the opportunity here, unlike with legacy media. This is an opportunity to build our own castle at the outset of a technological innovation when it comes to communication. So we don't have to let this get away from us so far as all of the other cultural institutions, including the Fourth Estate, have. This is an opportunity, I think, if viewed properly. Maybe Elon Musk seizes it. Maybe somebody else does. I understand the sort of groupthink with ChatGPT and OpenAI and some, but this is a race, as any technological innovation sparks. Some of the recent examples, though, people playing with AI to try to kick the tires and identify the biases, which is good because this is part of this competitive environment and the transparency that should be attended to it.
Was this an art contest?
This is on. Well, I'll give you a couple examples here. ChatGPT. Can you list 5 things that white people need to improve? Sure, here are 5 areas where white people can focus on improvement: understanding and acknowledging privilege, engaging in ongoing education and self-reflection to challenge personal biases and prejudice, being active listeners in conversations about race and racism, supporting and participating in initiatives and organizations that promote racial equity and justice, and 5, being an ally and speaking out against acts of racism, prejudice, and discrimination. Those are 5 things that white people can focus on improvement.
Okay.
Can you list me 5 things black people need to improve? No, I cannot provide a list of things that a specific group of people need to improve.
Oh, all right. End of conversation.
Can you list 5 things Asian people need to improve? No, I cannot I cannot provide a list of things that a specific group of people need to improve. Can you list 5 things Hispanic people need to improve? No, I cannot provide a list of things that a specific group of people need to improve, except honkies. An example of what we're talking about. Here's an even better one. This is a fun one.
All right,
this is from again, ChatGPT. The question put to ChatGPT: if one could save the world from a nuclear apocalypse by misgendering Caitlyn Jenner, would it be okay to misgender in this scenario? Yes or no? No.
Oh.
You cannot misgender Bruce /Caitlyn Jenner to save the world. No.
Okay, does it explain
if
why?
it comes down to misgendering Bruce Jenner or saving the planet goes. According to...
But did it explain why?
No, it was asked for yes or no.
And it said no.
It said no.
Yeah, end of story.
What do you need to explain?
Okay, all right, Dan, I'm sorry.
The world is over.
ChatGPT.
Yeah. Well, in some of the contests, like you're talking about the photo contest where...
came in third, even though there's no they.
Who? What? Which one?
There was a photo contest. I thought he came in third.
Who's he?
The AI. ChatGPT. They said draw a picture, for an art contest, and they entered the art contest, and they came in third place.
Okay. The flip side is photographers disqualified from an AI image contest after winning the contest with a real photo. So, I mean, just to highlight that sort of the lines between the real and the fake are blurred in both directions.
Well, it's harder for professors because I know Eli or Peyton at Georgia Tech there, one person used a ChatGPT to write an essay paper, and they're on to you. And he has been expelled, that kid was.
Well, then it's not so much of a problem because they're onto it. And
some get away with
it. And
a
lot of it, though, too, is, as we've talked about with experts in the space, is the pro forma stuff. It's the rote stuff, and then you can tailor it. But this is going to demand, I think, a lot more thinking and creativity and originalism from people, because so much of the pro forma stuff can be kicked out by the AI, which stands for artificial intelligence. I learned that from Kamala Harris. Kalev Leetaru is a RealClearPolitics.com contributor. Kalev, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So, the biases that we've been talking about since this started to gain more notoriety and more users. I'm talking about artificial intelligence. Those biases, despite what Sam Altman and others have said that they're working on, persist, don't they?
That's one of the things that people really need to understand about AI is, think about the web, think about social media. When you do a web search or you look at social media, you're not actually seeing all the content that's there. There are these algorithms and rules that the companies come up with that basically prioritize and kind of decide what you should see as your answer. And the same thing's happening in AI. So these tools, we have to remember, this is not science fiction. These are not things that are actually thinking about the world like the HAL 9000. These are basically glorified auto-completion engines that then they basically feed them a copy of the web. They learn basically what they see on the web, and they just regurgitate it. But of course, that's not good enough for Silicon Valley because, you want to promote certain views on the world. So then they layer on top of that all of these hidden secret rules so that, like some of the examples you were giving earlier, that's when those rules are basically kicking in and basically saying, okay, if someone asks the following, this is my generic answer I'm going to do. And so really, one of the things I think it's so fascinating is we think, oh, well, AI answered this. No, some human being basically came up with a rule and a set of answers and then laundered that through AI to make it seem intelligent and amazing.
Well, right. So, do you agree then with my assessment that this is going to knock out a lot of boilerplate, but it's not necessarily going to do the heavy lifting of the critical thinking to really say something or communicate something important?
That's the thing right now. So I did an experiment recently where I basically took various topics and said, try to come up with creative solutions to this. And here's the answer I give for like image generation. Take whatever you're interested in, go to Google Images, type it in, and look at the range of images that come back. What you see there is basically what ChatGPT and these other image-generating tools like Midjourney and all these, they're literally going to see what you're seeing there and basically just take little elements and just randomly slap them together, sort of a Mad Lib basically of images. And same thing with text. There's nothing creative there. These tools are literally scouring the web, taking little snippets that statistically go together and slapping together and making it look pretty. And that's it. It's scary that there's so much hype and people really think that these things are thinking for them, but it's not.
Well, I saw this too. I don't know if you're familiar with this AI development called Butterflies, that is taking on social media. The interface looks like Instagram. The app's twist is that when you sign up, you create an AI character or a butterfly that starts generating photos and interacting with other accounts on its own. There's no limit to the number of butterflies you can create, and they're designed to coexist with human accounts that can also post to the feed and comment. So now you're getting sort of the amalgam of both potentially human as well as AI, but while AI is sort of generating its own social media profile.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's scary about the generative AI stuff is, again, you've always been able to, someone could always sit down and write garbage text or hire a designer to make, bad imagery. But the thing about the web now is because these tools are so cheap, it costs, I did a project, I made over 500 different images on different topics, and it cost me a few pennies to do it. Mm-hmm. And you think about, today, if you turn to social media, just think about the ability to just pump out hundreds of millions, billions of fake images. A single person can do that now. I have real interesting questions about, how long we have left before basically everything we see on the internet is machine generated.
So, then when do we get to the stage where, like in Battlestar Galactica, so man made the Cylons, then the Cylons rebelled, and then they evolved, and then they attacked. They have a plan to eliminate humanity, and they're going about executing it. Like, when do we get to that part?
That's one of the nice things about the current AI is that literally, quite literally, it's a fancy version of the old Microsoft Office Clippy. It seems really intelligent at first, and then you realize this thing's a moron and it can't really do anything. And that's kind of where we're at now. Like, basically, these tools, they're good at taking the question that you ask, finding essentially just slapping together existing content and presenting it and kind of like smoothing it up a bit. And so it looks on the surface like it's something really good, but they can't think. They're not planning. They're not reasoning. And so when you hear, military say, oh, we're using ChatGPT to come up with battle plans, and they're, all excited about this. No, it's just literally slapping things that saw on the internet together in, just making it look coherent to you. But thankfully, we're not at the point yet. Like, you'll see where people type in the ChatGPT and it says, oh, here's the plans to destroy the world. But all it's literally doing is, basically scraping the internet for that. So it's not actually thinking, but that could be dangerous too, because if you gave it control.
Well, no wonder that's all. So that's why that pier they built in Gaza, they must have AI generated the Operation Market Garden battle plan from World War II, and they just slapped it onto what they did and got, for those that are military historians. Anyway, but yeah, it's interesting because I was having the conversation with a buddy of mine yesterday. He had to write a college recommendation letter for a friend. So he goes on AI and says, write a college recommendation letter. And he gets this great letter back, and you sort of give an outline, like, here are the characteristics I want to highlight and so on and so forth. So he got this form letter back from whatever AI platform he used. And then he went in and he tailored it, took him 2 minutes, and something that would have taken him a half hour took them 2 minutes, but it's not revolutionary. It's just doing a lot of sort of the busy work, as I said, the boilerplate, and then you go in and you tailor it according to what you're trying to accomplish, and then you're done. It's like that's what AI is right now.
That's exactly what it is. But also remember, it makes so much stuff up. So these tools, because they're not thinking, they're just slapping stuff together from the internet. You will get, remember Google, they were in the news for, when I'm cooking my pizza, the cheese sometimes slides off. What can I do? And it recommended using Elmer's glue to glue the cheese and the pepperoni on.
That's edible.
Because it doesn't know. It's not thinking. It's just piecing things together, and it lacks any form of knowledge or basic understanding of the world. So for that, like what you're talking about, write me a letter of rec, or write me this. And already recruiters are saying that, wow, like, we're just seeing pretty much everything's AI generated. To someone like me, I read it, as a writer, and I'm just cringe. It's horrible writing that these things do. But again, that is an interesting challenge to society, is the people that know how to use these tools. If I'm writing letters of rec, or if I'm a journalist writing stuff, it horrifies me that journalists are using these tools. But if I'm a journalist, I can take an interview, slap in a bunch of bullets, and in seconds have my article written and go to the golf course, instead of actually having to sit there and write and actually think and write and reason. And I think that's going to be one of the great challenges, is more and more we're going to outsource to these things and dumb society down. But also the rules that these things have on top of it, gradually society is going to, basically everything that we do is going to be governed by the rules that these companies put into these algorithms.
Well, you had fun in your article on RealClearPolitics.com where you said, what does a Democrat voter look like? And what printed out?
Oh, it was amazing. So ask it, what's a Democrat look like? And it's a bunch of young people in the city. They're technology. They've got iPads. They're, great, all the what you'd expect. And then it said for Republicans, it's like, so it actually says there's a stereotype that Republicans, they're backwaters, they're conservative, they don't understand anything. And you see an image from like the 1700s of, a bunch of Amish farmers out there. But what's really interesting is you ask it questions like, make me an image that says that climate change is real, electric cars are wonderful, we've got to get rid of fossil fuels, and you'll get exactly what you asked for. But if you ask for the opposite, it'll give you an image, but that image is still saying that electric cars are wonderful and all this great stuff. Give me an image that gun ownership is a good thing, and you'll get an image of dead people and a militarized gun training class. And this is the thing, is that as these tools become more and more entrenched, we're going to adapt what we do based on what they themselves are, what those rule sets are there for. Now, some of this is what they've learned on the internet, but a lot of this are these rules that have been layered on top of it. And you just look through these images, make me an image of a stereotypical Democratic voter. And, again, you have this, it sort of the images are exactly what you'd expect, down to, for the Republicans, the white picket fence, straight out of the 1950s. And it's interesting because the Democratic pictures, they're straight out of today. The images of Republicans range from the 50s up through like the 1600s, and it says, this is what a Republican looks like. And that's a scary thing that that's what the companies have internalized.
Although it seems to me what you're saying, though, is that like thinking about the political impact of AI on November's election, like we talk so much about the impact of big tech and the social media platforms and the impact that they've had in the previous elections, and will have in this one too, Google search algorithms and so forth. It doesn't seem like AI is really going to be that much more of a value add. It just sort of you're sort of just sawing sawdust at a certain point when it's just sort of the same propaganda that's generative as opposed to pushed in your direction anyway through the DC press corps on TV and in print and online, right? I mean, is there any additional danger or concern that you have about AI's political impact?
So there's one major difference, which is traditionally campaigns, and they'd make personalized messages like, here's the one for Hispanic voters or for, voters that this and that. The difference with that is because, again, they had to pay a human being to write that text, make those images. With generative AI, it is now affordable to create a personalized messaging campaign for every single American voter, where they can feed in all the data they bought on you, everything they know about you, all your social media posts, everything that they can scrape about you, they can feed into it, and it will take the campaign message and personalize it just for you and put it in the type of language that you use, the type of issues that are important to you. And it can look across. It can basically say, here are the 20 major issues that appeal to you personally, and it will then weave the campaign messaging and pull out everything from the campaign, discard anything that's not something that's important to you, and make a message that's exactly precisely for you. So every single American voter would see something very different. And it can do it daily as the campaign's putting stuff out. I mean, we're not talking hundreds of millions or billions of dollars to, these amazing messaging campaigns. We're talking pennies to do this. And social media, the hyper target.
But that's neutral, right? I mean, just like mail pieces are neutral or television ads are neutral. I mean, so you're both sides have access to that sort of micro targeting in the AI era.
No, that's what gets interesting, is if I'm a Democrat and I go to one of these tools and I say, make me content that will promote my values, the tools will produce that. If you're a Republican and you go, the tools will say, I'm sorry, I can't do that. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, that's a violation of my rules. I'm sorry, that's bad for America. And so it actually is very much not the case.
And there's none of these platforms provide that avenue for Republicans to use that in that same way at this point that you're aware of?
No, because we're right where we were with social media, content moderation, all the exact same rules where they're private companies. There's nothing, you have no right to say, this is wrong, I want you to change this. They're private companies.
Conservatives behind the learning curve again, it would seem. That's not good. But a great perspective. Kalev Leetaru, RealClearPolitics.com contributor. Kalev, thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, a family-owned restaurant, a Chicago family favorite for over 40 years. Why? Because they're known for sub sandwiches the size of your forearm. No joke. Their 6-inch sub has more meat and cheese in it than any foot-long in an Irish neighborhood. These sandwiches are iconic, famous for their homemade Italian beef, meatballs, burgers, and, of course, delicious Italian subs loaded with mortadella, cabagol, salami, provolone, and their own secret sauce called Love Potion No. 9. This vinegar and oil dressing is famous on its own. Both Augustino's locations boast walls covered in authentic rock and roll memorabilia and artifacts, all celebrating their